What happens when your family decides you're not worthy of Christmas dinner, but they have no idea you own a $3.2 million mountain estate? I'm Mike Glover, and this December, my mother sent me a text that changed everything. Just Dave's family this year, keeping it intimate. 5 words that ended a 35-year relationship and started the most powerful Christmas of my life. Trust me, when they saw the photos of what they missed, the phone calls wouldn't stop ringing. My phone buzzed at exactly 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. I was in my downtown Denver office, 42nd floor, watching the Rocky Mountains cut through the horizon like jagged teeth. The message was from Mom. Christmas plans this year, just Dave's family, keeping it intimate, love you. I stared at that text for what felt like an hour. Just Dave's family. My younger brother, the golden boy who never left Colorado Springs, who took over Dad's construction company, who married his high school sweetheart and had 3 perfect kids. Dave, who could sneeze and they'd act like he'd discovered a cure for cancer. Me? I built a cybersecurity company from scratch, started in a 1-bedroom apartment with maxed-out credit cards and ramen noodles for dinner. Last year, I sold it to a Fortune 500 company for $127 million. But you wouldn't know it from how they still talk to me like I'm some computer nerd who got lucky with technology. The truth is, this wasn't the first sign. It had been building for months. At Dave's birthday party in September, I showed up with a $500 bottle of whiskey I'd picked up in Scotland. Dad barely glanced at it. "Oh, fancy," he said, then spent 20 minutes showing everyone Dave's new concrete mixer like it was the space shuttle. When I mentioned my company's expansion into Europe, Mom cut me off mid-sentence. "Dave, tell everyone about the new house you're building." But this Christmas text, this was different. This wasn't just being overlooked. This was being deliberately excluded. I typed back one word: understood. Then, I made a decision that would change everything.
See, there was something my family didn't know about me, something I'd been keeping quiet for 2 years. I owned a 15-acre mountain estate in Aspen. Custom-built timber frame house, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Maroon Bells, wine cellar, home theater, and a great room with a stone fireplace you could park a car in. I'd bought it as a retreat, somewhere to disconnect from the chaos of running a company. But I'd never told my family about it. Why? Because I learned a long time ago that sharing good news with them was like throwing pearls to swine. They'd either ignore it or find a way to make it about Dave. But now I had a better idea. That evening, I called Chris Davis, my cousin on Mom's side. "Hey, Chris, you get an invite to Christmas dinner this year?" I asked when he picked up. "Nope," he said immediately. "Mom called me yesterday. Apparently your mom said they're doing immediate family only. First time in 20 years we're not invited." My jaw clenched. It wasn't just me. They'd cut out the entire extended family. "You want to do something different this year?" I asked. "Like what? Everything decent is booked by now." "I've got a place," I said. "Mountain house in Aspen. Room for 30 people. Dead silence. Then, "Are you serious right now?" "Dead serious. You interested?" By the end of the week, I had 15 RSVPs. Chris was bringing his wife and 2 kids, Aunt Susan was driving up from Pueblo with her famous green bean casserole, my cousins Mark and Jennifer were flying in from Phoenix, even Grandma Mary, who was 83 and hadn't traveled anywhere in 5 years, said she wouldn't miss it.
For the first time in my adult life, people were excited to come to my Christmas celebration. I spent the next 2 weeks planning everything. Professional chef, custom gift baskets in every bedroom, Grandma Mary's favorite Christmas carols ready to go. This wasn't about showing off. This wasn't about revenge. This was about creating the Christmas I'd always wanted, one where I wasn't an afterthought. 3 days before Christmas, I posted a single photo on social media. Nothing flashy, just the view from my deck. Snow-covered peaks, pine trees heavy with frost. Simple caption: home for the holidays. Within hours, my phone started buzzing. Friends, colleagues, even some high school acquaintances. But radio silence from my family. That should have been my first clue that they had no idea what was coming. Christmas Eve arrived with 6 inches of fresh powder. Chris pulled up first in a rental SUV, stepped out, looked up at the house, and just stood there with his mouth open. Jesus Christ, Mike. When you said you had a place, I thought you meant like a cabin. I grinned. This is technically a cabin, just a really big one. The next hour was like watching people discover they'd won the lottery. Aunt Susan immediately started crying when she saw her bedroom. I'd had it stocked with her favorite tea, British mysteries, and a heated blanket because she was always cold. But it was Grandma Mary's arrival that really got me. When Chris helped her out of the car, she took one look at the house, then turned to me with this expression I'll never forget. "Michael Joseph Glover," she said, using my full name. "How long have you been sitting on this?" 2 years, Grandma. "And you never said a word?" Would they have listened? She studied my face for a long moment, then nodded slowly. No, they wouldn't have. They never do. She patted my cheek. But I'm listening now. By evening, we had 18 people around a dining table handcrafted from a single oak tree. The chef had outdone herself. Herb-crusted prime rib, roasted root vegetables from local farms, wine from my personal collection. For the first time in my adult life, Christmas dinner felt like a celebration instead of an endurance test. We told stories, shared memories, laughed until our sides hurt. Nobody mentioned Dave. Nobody mentioned the family dinner I wasn't invited to. Nobody seemed to miss the people who weren't there. Around 9 p.m., while everyone was gathered around the fireplace, Grandma Mary pulled me aside. "You know what you did here, don't you?" she said. "You reminded us what family is supposed to feel like. I've been going to your parents' Christmas dinners for 30 years, and I always felt like I was intruding. Tonight, I feel like I belong." That hit me harder than I expected, because growing up, I always felt like I was intruding too. My phone had been buzzing all evening, but I'd been ignoring it. Finally, I pulled it out and saw 7 missed calls from Mom, 3 from Dad, and a long text from Dave. But there was one message that made me smile. Chris had posted a group photo on Instagram. All of us around the fireplace, glasses raised, genuine smiles. He'd tagged it, "Best Christmas Ever. Thanks for hosting, @MikeGlover, #FamilyFirst, Aspen Christmas." Within minutes, the comments started pouring in. Friends, colleagues, all asking about the incredible house and amazing celebration. Around midnight, I finally listened to Mom's voicemails. The first one was confused. "Mike, honey, I saw Chris's post. Are you in Aspen? I thought you were spending Christmas alone." By the 7th message, her tone had completely changed. "I don't know what kind of game you think you're playing, but this stops now. Call me." Christmas morning brought 23 missed calls, texts from numbers I didn't even recognize. Apparently, word was spreading through the extended family network. But there was one message that made me stop cold. It was from Dave. "Mike, I don't know what the hell you think you're doing, but Mama's losing her mind. She's been calling everyone, trying to figure out how you afforded some mansion in Aspen. She thinks you're lying or borrowed money or something. This is really messed up timing. Can you please just call her back and explain whatever this is?" I stared at that message for a long time. Even now, even faced with evidence that maybe they'd misjudged me, Dave's first instinct was to make me the problem. On December 26th, I finally called Mom back. She answered on the first ring. "Michael, thank God. I've been worried sick." "I'm fine, Mom. Better than fine, actually. Where are you? Chris won't tell me anything except that you're living your best life." I took a deep breath. "It means I'm at my house in Aspen, hosting the family Christmas you didn't invite me to." Silence. Long, heavy silence. "Your house?" Her voice was small now. "What do you mean, your house?
I mean, I own a house here. Have for 2 years. 15 acres, custom built, plenty of room for everyone who actually wants to spend Christmas with me. How? How do you have a house in Aspen? Those places cost millions. Mom, I sold my company for $127 million. I've tried to tell you this. You just never listened. Michael, this is huge. Why didn't you tell us? And there it was. The question I'd been waiting for. I did tell you. Multiple times. You just never heard me because you were too busy talking about Dave's latest project or asking when I was going to settle down and buy a house in Colorado Springs like a normal person. We're proud of you, sweetheart. We've always been proud. Really? Name one time, one single time you bragged about me to your friends the way you brag about Dave. Another long pause. That's not fair, isn't it? Dave builds a deck, and you post 12 photos on Facebook. I give a TED Talk that gets viewed by 20,000 people, and you don't even mention it. I could hear her crying now. I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't realize. I never meant to. Dad got on the phone then. Son, we messed up. We know that. But this feels like punishment. It's not punishment, Dad. It's me finally choosing to spend my time with people who see me, who value me, who don't act like my success is some kind of fluke.
The conversation lasted another hour. There were apologies, explanations, promises to do better. For the first time in years, they actually listened. But I could feel the shift. The power dynamic had completely flipped. For 35 years, I'd been the son seeking approval. Now, suddenly, they were the parents trying to earn forgiveness. 3 months later, I got an unexpected call from Dave. His voice was shaky. Mike, I need to tell you something. I've been thinking about Christmas every single day since it happened. I knew. Okay? I knew Mom was cutting everyone out. And I didn't say anything. I didn't fight for you. Why not? I asked. Because it was easier. Because for once, I didn't have to share the spotlight. Because I was tired of feeling like the lesser son whenever you showed up with your success stories. That stopped me cold. Lesser son? Dave, you were the golden child. Was I? Or was I just the safe choice? You know what kills me? When I saw those photos from your Christmas, my first emotion wasn't pride. It was jealousy. Because you had everything I thought I wanted. Real success, real money, real freedom. My parents asked if they could visit the Aspen house in April. I said yes, but with conditions. They had to come as guests in my home, not as parents trying to reassert authority. They had to listen when I talked about my life, and they had to acknowledge what they'd missed. The visit lasted 5 days. Mom cried when she saw the bedroom I'd prepared for her. Dad spent hours walking the property, asking detailed questions about the construction. On their last night, we sat by the fire, and Dad said something that surprised me. Son, I owe you an apology. That's 20 years overdue. When you were working on those computers in the basement, I thought you were wasting time. I was wrong about all of it. I couldn't see what you were building because I couldn't understand it.
It wasn't a perfect reconciliation, but it was honest, and it was a start. Most importantly, I kept my new traditions. The extended family Christmas became an annual event. We rotate locations now. Chris hosted Easter. Aunt Susan did 4th of July. We've created something that didn't exist before. A family culture based on choice rather than obligation. Last week, I got a call from Tyler, my cousin Sarah's son. He's 21, studying computer science at CU Boulder. Uncle Mike, I'm struggling. My parents don't get what I'm trying to do. They keep asking when I'm going to get a real job, when I'm going to stop playing with computers. I keep thinking about that story you told at Christmas, about how you felt invisible. For a moment, I was back in that garage in Colorado Springs, trying to explain to my parents why I was excited about making computers talk to each other. Tyler, come up to Aspen next weekend. Let me show you some things. Tyler spent 3 days with me. I showed him my home office, walked him through security protocols I'd developed, introduced him to former colleagues. On his last day, he said, "Uncle Mike, how did you know that what you were doing mattered, even when nobody else saw it?" I didn't know, I told him honestly. But eventually, I realized I had to choose. I could keep trying to prove my worth to people who couldn't see it, or I could build something so undeniable that they'd have to acknowledge it. And if they still didn't, I'd have built something amazing anyway. When Tyler left, he hugged me. Thank you for showing me what it looks like to choose yourself without becoming bitter about it. 3 weeks later, Chris texted me. I don't know what you said to Tyler, but he came home different, more confident. Thank you. That's when I realized something profound. This story wasn't just about me healing from family dysfunction. It was about breaking a generational cycle. Tyler won't have to spend decades feeling invisible. Some of you might wonder if I should have just talked to my parents years ago, worked it out like adults. Maybe. But here's what I learned. Sometimes people can only hear you from a position of strength. For decades, I spoke from a place of need, needing their approval, their recognition, their love. They couldn't hear me because they saw me as the child who needed them. It wasn't until I stopped needing their validation that they could finally see me as an equal. The irony is perfect, isn't it? I spent my whole life trying to prove I deserved a seat at their table. In the end, I had to build my own table to show them what they'd been missing. Now, instead of dreading family gatherings, I look forward to them. Instead of sitting quietly while others dominate conversations, I'm hosting those conversations. Instead of feeling invisible, I'm the one creating space for others to be seen. My Aspen house isn't just a retreat anymore. It's become a symbol of something bigger. The power of choosing yourself when others won't choose you. The courage to build your own life instead of waiting for permission to live it. Dave and I are rebuilding our relationship. My parents and I talk regularly now. Real conversations, not surface-level check-ins. They ask about my work, my investments, my plans. They listen to my answers. It's not perfect, but it's real. But the most powerful part? None of this would have been possible if I'd kept playing by their rules. If I'd kept showing up to dinners where I felt invisible, kept accepting crumbs instead of demanding a full seat at the table. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do, for yourself and for others, is to stop accepting less than you deserve. So here's my question for you. Is there a table in your life where you're still waiting for an invitation? A relationship where you're constantly proving your worth instead of having it recognized? A situation where you're playing small to make others comfortable? Maybe it's time to stop waiting. Maybe it's time to build something better. Maybe it's time to create your own table, one where everyone who sits there knows they belong. You don't need permission to live your best life. You just need the courage to stop waiting for it. I'm Mike Glover, and this has been my story. If it resonated with you, if it made you think about your own relationships and choices, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Share your own experiences. Have you ever had to choose between fitting in and standing up for yourself? If this story struck a chord with you, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel reach more people who might need to hear this message. And if you're new here, welcome to Hidden Hearth, where we explore stories about choosing authenticity over approval, building your own path instead of following someone else's map.
Don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss our latest stories about real people making real choices that change their lives. Until next time, remember, the most powerful table you'll ever sit at is the one you build yourself. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the next one.